Hi, my name is Todd Christel, and this is the second in a series of short videos that I'm going to do talking about some of the things I learned in Microsoft Visual Programming Language for their robotic development studio. So, like I said, this is just sort of tips and techniques. One of the things is getting activities into the game diagram. So we'll take a grab one here, and you can either grab it and drag it in, or let's see that. Simply double click it. Now, if you are doing a lot of basic activities in a row, a real simple way then of getting another basic activity on there is to just start from the output bin, drag into the area of the diagram you want to work, and then click the activity that you want to have. So, saves you from grabbing and dragging it over, and for me, it kind of makes things a little easier. I'll delete this guy right here. Oh, there is one thing here. I completely missed this, and I don't know why, but you can get the real estate here clogged up pretty quickly, and then you'll need more space. Well, of course, down in the lower right-hand corner is the zoom button, and so you can zoom in to see what's going on inside of the box, or you can zoom it out so that you can get a whole lot more activities and services on your screen. Or you can just do a large screen. That's actually what I also end up doing, is get my large screen to work from. So zoom the lower right hand corner. So we'll zoom it up here a little bit so that we can see. That's too much. Now, if you're working with strings in the data block and you define a string, you don't use quotes. You simply type it in. But if you're evaluating it, as in using an if statement, you do use quotes. First, that would evaluate, if in this case sensitive, but that would. So, no quotes when you're defining, you're creating the data information flow, and quotes if you're evaluating it. Now here's something that is not exactly obvious what's going on the first time that you do it. We're going to find Mark. Put him in the workspace. And a service is usually a more complex thing than a basic activity. And it's got usually multiple attributes. So if we bring up the list, we give it an input, and then give it an output. Now you'll notice the input I gave it. Now I can click on this, and I can look at, or right click on this, and I can look at my selections that are available. You can see I've got all stop, battery update, enable drive, resetting coders, set drive speed, or drive power. I'm sorry, we'll look at that in a second here. So there's a lot of things that the Smart Robot service will provide. I'm going to use one that has a lot of interesting aspects to it, and that's the get. So anyway, I selected that going in. Now coming out into a calculate box, remember calculate boxes can do mathematical calculations. They also can extract entities out of a complex data stream. So now you also notice here that as I come out of the Mark Robot, I can either say get success or get fault. And get fault is the default. So success means the service completed or maybe didn't complete, but there is a signal coming out of it in response to your message flow going in, and so it had indicated that it either worked or it didn't. If you leave it at default and you are using this as part of your message flow, so you're expecting your message to move on through the service and on down your program, it's not going to happen because only if this doesn't work. Fault is really like a catch try on in C# programming. So So fault is not probably what you want most of the time unless you're logging errors. So you're going to have to go up and manually click success so that the message flows go on. So now the message flow is going on. We look and calculate, and we see a lot more selections than we had in our normal 5 that we would see in the last video. So here, battery state, black start time, and things like that. So the service gets is a lot more complicated. Now, interesting thing here, if I go into the input and delete it, I have no choice but to get. Right click it. You notice my connections is grayed out. And that's because you have the outbound flow going into the calculate. And this outbound flow is particular to the get operation. And so as long as you have the get outbound message flow established, the only choice you're going to get to go into the service is to go get. So if I delete that part of the context, now we go here, and I have my connections again, and now I can have it do whatever it is that I want it to do. So anyway, now let's enable the drive, which brings up a connection box. And now when we did this the last time, we would have had it and said just use the value coming in and enable drives. That way we could do that pretty easily if you wanted to. It does have an error because it's a boolean that it expects. I think we can say that there. Yes, it doesn't. No, we've turned the drive off now, but we have taken the error away. So this is looking for external data to enable or to set whatever service you have happening inside the service. Let's pick one that's a little more interesting. For the connections, let's set drive power. That's something we do a lot in robotics. Our data connection box changes, and now we have 2 parameters, the left wheel and the right wheel, and applying power to both of those. So now we would need 2 data values to go into the Mark robot in order to set those, and start having a proliferation of icons on the screen, and it gets kind of messy. So there's a place down here to edit values directly. When we check that, now this just opens up, and you can see we have some constants here, and then we have our 5 normal things. But you can also just highlight it and type. And so if we type 5.5 on both of those, that will cause the robot to move in the forward direction. If we had it's a differential drive, mark this. So if we had a +5 and a -5, that would cause it to rotate in place. And once again, coming out of it, we have either success or failure. And we have for here. So we have our constants, we have our normal 5, because you're telling it to do something, you're not requesting information. So anyway, that's not too interesting. What is interesting, let's see if we can delete this. Okay. As for our connections, we're going to go down here and we're going to get infrared sensor array. And when we do that, the Mark robot has 3 infrared sensors, 0, 1, and 2. 0 is Mark left, and we want to get the value of one of those. So we're going to say get the array. We come over here in the calculate box, and then we hit success. And now when we look in the calculate box to see what's going on, we have sensors. Now double click that to bring it in, but the deal is that sensors are an array, like I said, it's an array, so we have to index the array. So to do that, we just do an open bracket, a 0 for the first one. Like I said, that's mark left, and a close bracket. So now to get to sensor 0, there's more to it than that. And the way you expand your options is you hit a period there, and now we have, there's the distance measurement. Of course, that's what we want. Hardware manufacturer, maximum distance, minimum distance, if you want to do some automatic scaling. But we double click the distance measurements, and now we can check to make sure that there's nothing else there. Like another period, just expand that. So anyway, so this is how we calculate out the distance measurement, and then that measurement will then continue to flow and calculate that. So that is how you get values out of mark. Now, the last thing is when you add like a service, whether you want to, out here, I'll use a timer for this. Okay, so the timer is something that you set. So we set timer, and I'm going to use an external data value. You don't really have to do that, as you can see. You can go in there and edit it directly. With things like timer values, I use a data or data icon, so because the external basic activity, because it reminds me of what my time values are, and especially when I'm just kind of prototyping something, I go in and change those sometimes, so it makes it a little more obvious. So I'm going to set it for 1 second, and this time is in milliseconds, so I want 1,000 milliseconds. And you notice that when I connected it, I lost my notification pin, and that is because I'm setting it now. I took it out of notify mode. And so I'm going to right click on it as a copy, or we'll do that and paste it. Now what I did was I copied a copy of that timer, and what that means, let me delete this. What that means is I go over here to the services directory and double click it and ask for a timer, and now it asks me something. It says it already has an instance of this activity. Do I want a new one, or do I want to retain my normal one? Well, I've set the timer. Now I want to do something with it. So I don't want to add a new activity, or that would add a new timer. So instead, I'm just going to select the timer I have. Now this will become, if I said add a new activity, see, it gives it a different name. And we can actually go in and call our timer something over here in the properties box. The timer, and now our two associated timers they're still linked, and the new timer over here is still at timer 0. And so now I will do something. So I'm going to do an activity when the timer expires, and I go from the notification pin to whatever it is I want to do, and have my timer complete. When the 1,000 milliseconds is done, I will then fire and I'll use that for the activity. So anyway, there's a few things that might help you out a little bit, and we're going to talk about activities and manifests and a few other things on some videos in the future. So hope this helped.